Well, hello there. My name is Andy Green with Green Group Real Estate, and I'm joined today by Annie Ransome. As always, we have been going live for about the past, how long has it been, Annie? About 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yeah, I think this is our fourth or fifth. Yeah.
Okay, so actually more than a month.
Yeah.
And our ultimate goal is, because there's just so much going on in the world, so many changes in the real estate and mortgage industry, that we just want to bring you news that you can use and keep you updated with what's going on. So you're used to seeing both of us, and we have got a very, very special guest with us. Ashley Casey is a dear, dear friend of mine. Something that most people in this world do not know, very, very few people. I'm an ordained minister, and I had the pleasure of marrying Brett, her husband, and Ashley. And it was—
Are you kidding?
No, totally true. Totally true. Ordained minister, Andy Green. Boom.
Is it amazing? Amazing.
Add that one to my resume. It was truly a pleasure and an honor to be able to do that. And Ashley used to work with me at Green Group Real Estate. She was one of my first employees. What year was that, Ash?
I think that was 2013 or 12.
Okay,
actually.
so 2012. Technically opened Green Group in 2011. So, about a year after. Ashley comes into my world, and I'm super proud of everything that you've accomplished in the business. I knew you would. So good job, girl.
Cool.
Yeah, great.
So what are we talking about today? What are we talking about today? Today we are talking about, is it possible to sell my home and purchase a new one in the world of COVID-19? I actually copied this question down from an email that I got a couple days ago, and I get this email like every couple days. Are you guys getting the same type of emails and phone calls?
For
Multiple. They're everywhere.
Yeah, it's like all day, every day. Can I accomplish my goals? Can I do it? Is it safe? What are the ins and outs? What does that look like? So that's why we're talking about this topic today, is because we're getting this question day in and day out. So let's talk about it. Let's start with you, Ash. So Ashley is with WFG. Sorry about that. I did not mention that earlier. She's a sales rep for a title company, WFG, here in the local market. One of our partners, and they have just always done a great job of taking care of our clients and us, their partners. So love being in business with you guys. And we've had some conversations about what it looks like in today's market, because so much has changed over the past 5 weeks, right?
Very much. Daily.
So walk me through, what are the major changes? What are you guys doing to keep people safe? And how are you just keeping transactions moving through the pipeline?
Yeah, for sure. So things are actually progressing very well, better than we had expected. All of our branches are closed to the public, but we are all open behind the scenes. Appointment only. So transactions are still happening. In fact, we've been flooded with amazing amount of transactions. We're very surprised each day. But so it's by appointment only right now. Okay.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I obviously know what's going on in the market and with interest rates. And Annie, you can talk about this as well, because you've probably been seeing a lot of this. But with interest rates dropping dramatically a month and a half ago, right around there, you guys have probably seen a lot of refinances. Is that safe to say?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what percentage? Actually, this is a good question for both of you guys. What percentage of your closings, like right now, are from that wave of interest rates dropping to super low historical averages?
I mean, for us, that's about 75%, which really typically, we have about 75% purchases versus refis. But during a boom like this, it's pretty typical that those refis would overtake. So the purchase business hasn't actually slowed down very much. It's just that we've been overpowered by refinances, and interest rates they've kind of stabilized now. So we're definitely in the sub 4%, depending on the program, how much equity, qualifications, things like that. So we'll see that for a little while until this order gets lifted. and we get a true understanding of what's going on in the economy, and how long the Fed is going to need to keep interest rates this low, in order to keep people encouraged and moving forward and refinancing their properties.
Yep. Got it. Ash.
We're pretty close to that. I would say 80-20. And that's, resale has basically stayed the same. It's just the refinances have just flooded.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you're 80% on the refi side?
Refi side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So she said yes, 80% on the refi side. The connection got a little bit garbled there, but I see you now. I see you. I hear you. 80%. So walk me through. Let's just say, Ash, that you have a signing, and these clients are going to be coming into your office. So walk us through what a signing looks like in today's market.
Yeah. So the escrow officer assigned to the transaction will reach out to the both buyer and seller. At this time, we're only allowing principals to the transaction, so no real estate agents or loan officers, just to protect with having so many people in the room.
Sure.
So they'll reach out to the client about 24, 48 hours. Of course, prior to that, we'll be in communication throughout the transaction. But for the actual signing, we'll be sending them a questionnaire about 24 to 48 hours before the signing, just to make sure that nobody's sick and just check our boxes, just so we're protecting everybody in the room.
Got it. So make sure nobody's had any symptoms. They haven't been in any specific areas that are like high risk or anything like that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we're actually even just asking if they're sick at all in general.
Okay.
So if they're sick, we're trying to avoid even just doing a signing with anybody sick.
Okay, got it. What else? What else are you guys doing?
So of course, we're doing the general cleaning before and after each signing. We dispose the pen after every signing, so only one pen is used for that specific person. We have sanitizer in the signing room, masks, gloves, all of the protection type general stuff.
Sure.
We're also installing plexiglass in the conference rooms in the middle of the tables, and then also the reception desk. So that's going to be really great for both the person signing, the clients, as well as the clients. So that should be coming in the next couple of weeks.
Is that something that's going to be permanent?
Gosh, I don't know. I feel like you never know if a lot of this is going to be permanent with the plexiglass. I mean, grocery stores and, we don't know yet.
So interesting.
It's daily. Everything's changing.
It throws me off every time I go into a store, which is very rare. I've probably been into 3 stores in the past 5 weeks. And it's to get like last year, those times I just went in to get chicken. I just got chicken, and there were only 4 packages of chicken, and I got 3 of them. Oh my gosh,
Andy! You didn't search for beans or yeast or rice.
Nope. I had strict instructions. Go get chicken. So I follow instructions. Chuck likes to eat his chicken and strawberries. That's about all he eats. It's great.
Oh, so great. Well, we're about to go into strawberry season, so fresh strawberries.
Yes. Okay. Anything else? What else are you guys doing?
We're just doing everything we can to keep the area clean. We're also accommodating, of course, to any signings. If somebody is, cannot leave their home, we'll make sure that they're accommodated for the signings.
And you just use a mobile notary?
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm curious, do you guys know what procedures your notaries are taking? Because we on the lending side, we get that question often, and we're encouraging people to try and come to the title company if they can, just because it really is a controlled environment. But for those folks that can't leave, that's often a question that gets asked. So what would be your response to that?
We really appreciate that, because we do want to protect our mobile notary as well. Going into the home is a higher risk for all parties. So, it's just really case by case at this point. We do have some clients who are asking if they can drive up and do a signing with us, just at the window or, of their car. There's still, things that can be tough with that situation, but we just accommodate whatever. We want the client to feel comfortable, and so we'll do whatever.
What are these notaries doing? Like, do they follow a specific protocol when they're going to someone's home? I've seen pictures on Instagram and Facebook where people are signing documents outside or on the hood of a car.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think those are great. Yeah, I think it's just whatever our audience wants. So a lot of times we can send the documents prior to the signing and let them review the documents. And then once we go to sign the clients, they can just sign and we just stand away so that they feel comfortable. So it's just case by case.
Yeah,
sure.
That's good.
Cool.
But I will be honest, the notaries they seem to be pretty comfortable with everything. We're not going to put somebody in a position where they have to sign clients if they're not comfortable. And that's the same with our escrow officers. We don't want that.
Sure. Yeah. And, even on the lending side, we've seen a couple of precautions come in because of COVID-19. Also, a lot less appraisals. So, anytime that there is a loan transaction that follows a traditional type of loan program, so your conventional loans, your FHA, your veteran loans, everything gets sent through an electronic processing, an electronic underwriting system that lets us know the basic information that we need to supply for the loan to get approved. And because of COVID, these electronic systems, they're giving a lot of waivers so that a traditional appraiser doesn't need to go to the property. In fact, we're seeing it on probably about 75% of the loans right now, which is great. Yeah. So it's really nice to see on the lending side, different steps that have been taken. And then in the state of Oregon, unfortunately, we're not completely an e-sign state. So, some of the documents, the mortgage transaction documents need to be notarized, but a lot of lenders are doing a hybrid between the loan documents that can be electronically signed versus the ones that need to be in front of a notary. So lenders are trying to reduce the exposure that people have to. Typically a signing takes, wouldn't you say, Ashley, about an hour on average? And
especially
now about 30 minutes because a lot of those e-sign loan documents and that procedure. So
that really cuts down the time for sure.
It's
I think
so
we'll
nice.
eventually go to e-sign.
Yeah. So
I hope so.
Right. We all.
I have a question about that with and this is to Annie, with the appraisals changing the way that they are, and appraisers are doing these drive-by appraisals and they're still doing the same work on the back end. Are you seeing any issues that maybe you weren't seeing previously?
In terms of
values,
no.
Are you seeing any value issues?
No,
Okay.
Not yet. Knock on wood.
Okay.
Yeah, home values are really strong in Portland still. I know that you see that on your end, and maybe you can give us a little bit of update on that. But yeah, so far, and we're still in a pretty competitive marketplace. People are still asking over, at least from my end, and Andy, you're the expert there, but our clients are still having to compete in order to get their offers accepted. So often they're going in over asking price and it's still appraising just fine.
Yeah.
A good indication of good, healthy market.
Right. I only heard of one issue, and it was just a comment by another broker that had mentioned that they had an issue with an appraisal because, and I can't remember exactly the way that they worded it, but it had something to do with the crisis that we were going through, and maybe they were assuming that prices were going to adjust, but I haven't seen that either, and that was really the only circumstance. So with you saying that 75% of the appraisals have been modified, I was just curious if you're seeing any issues with valuations.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is, this electronic system, it weighs a lot of different variables. It weighs the individual's risk factor. So it's looking at credit, it's looking at debt versus income, it's looking at the value that we're utilizing and putting into the system. And if there are just enough risk factors, they're still going to want somebody to go out there and verify.
Right.
Versus somebody who's got a very low debt versus income. Maybe they do have some really good, credit rating. It's less risk for the investor, so that if there is something catastrophic that happens or is going on with that property, there's there's a little bit more confidence for the investor to take on that investment.
Right.
Rather than somebody who's borderline and the potential that something's going on with the property. That's really when we're seeing those waivers, or that 25% is just the borderline, or maybe the property was purchased within the last year and we're trying to certify that the borrower doesn't need mortgage insurance moving forward. The investor may want some additional checks and balances if we've got some borderline issues because of that.
Okay, awesome. Annie, do you have any final questions for Ash before we let her get back to her day?
I don't think so. Thanks so much for joining us. And thank you for everything that you guys are doing to ensure that our clients are safe as they can be during these times. Really appreciate you guys being open. I know you guys are an essential business, as are all of us. We've got to provide housing to people. So just really appreciate your guys' effort for putting yourself in potential jeopardy in order to keep this needle moving.
So kind of you to say. We sure appreciate you guys. I personally appreciate you guys so much. And you know what? We'll get through this, and I think we're gonna have a good rest of the year.
I agree. Yeah.
I agree. Well, I can tell you from firsthand experience, because I think we've closed 3 transactions with you guys just in the past week and a half or so. And I always get rave reviews. You guys do a great job. And I also appreciate the effort that you guys are doing to keep everybody safe during this crazy, crazy time.
No. Thank you guys very, very much. And thanks for having me on the show.
Good job, Ash.
I love listening to you guys. Look forward to next week's show as well. I'm not on it, but I'm going to watch you guys.
Okay, awesome.
Have a great week,
guys. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and Ashley's gone, and we have got another guest in the waiting room. Before I get to him and introduce him, if you guys have any questions, you see this banner going across the bottom of the screen. Comment with any questions that you guys have. I'd love to hear your comments or your questions, because you guys have got us for about 30-40 minutes a day, or not a day, a week. And if you guys have any questions, this is a great time to just comment, and we will be keeping an eye on those comments, and we will answer if we have the time. Okay, cool. So, but without further ado, I am going to bring in Darren Piper, but I just lost my screen. That was not good. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to bring in Darren Piper. Darren has been a broker on my team for, Darren, you can hear me now, can't you?
I can.
Okay.
How long? Hi, guys.
How long?
Hi, Annie.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How long you been with us, D?
6.5 years, sir.
6.5 years. Darren has hit the 150 sale mark this year.
Wow.
So that was a momentous day for us. We had a great celebration and a lot of fun, but more than anything, Darren's a great broker. He cares very, very much about his clients, always get rave reviews. So good job there. Darren, over the past week, put a home under contract. And it was a really interesting situation, to be honest with you, because you had, I think you were competing. You had 4 offers. It was a first-time home buyer, and they never even saw the home. So walk me through how you managed to just put all of those pieces together.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, super fun story. Basically, somebody reached out to us on one of our sites, and we connected with them. I gave them a call and found out that they're looking for a home. Weren't planning on moving until actually their lease was up in November. And through conversations with them and expressing to them the opportunity because of interest rates right now, which makes houses very affordable, right? They decided, they got excited and decided they were going to move straight away, or at least start looking for a home.
Okay.
So we had a listing consult through Zoom, like we're doing now virtually, and they were great. They really understood the whole process. They were excited as first-time buyers, and from there they are. There, they were able to start the home looking process and found this home that was behind them there that was basically had renters in it, priced really well, and contingent upon visual inspection.
Okay. So let me get this straight. So you never met with them in person.
Correct.
You never looked at the house.
Correct.
And they bought the house.
Well, I mean, it's not that we didn't look at the house. So we did a virtual tour of the home. Like most great agents nowadays, there was a 3D virtual tour provided for the home.
Okay.
So we mapped it. They drove by the house. I didn't have the opportunity to do so before we had to put in an offer because it was priced correctly. It was priced under value. So they drove by the house. We spent a lot of time talking about the inside as we virtually walked through it, looking at dimensions, looking at the neighborhood. And at that point, they felt comfortable enough to proceed with an offer.
Okay.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
And so 4 offers, is that right?
We were one of 4 offers.
Okay.
The couple wrote a very good offer through experience and of all the clients that we've helped over the years. I was able to. I love writing clean offers. I had the opportunity to work with the agent who was listing the home before, basically, when it came down to it, our offer was chosen over the other 3.
Wow. It's crazy the world of real estate we're in.
The virtual world of real estate. Yeah.
Right.
So Saturday, we actually had the opportunity to walk through the home, and that picture of them is out in front of the house that you just had up after we viewed it, and they were jumping up and down excited because everything about the house was perfect for them and their family, and I think they ended up getting a lot of house for the money.
Great.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's such an awesome story. And I think it's important for people to know that with technology and with the advances that we're seeing in just the way that we do business right now, that it's totally possible and probable that people are able to buy houses, we're able to move transactions forward through the process and get them closed as well, all while being safe, which is the most important thing in today's world, is keeping everybody safe and not having the spread of COVID-19. So one thing that I will mention, because I had this conversation with Darren days ago when he put the home under contract and helped those buyers. One thing that I will mention is that relationships matter more than most people will ever imagine in a real estate transaction. Darren told me that he worked with this agent previously, and when you're competing on an offer like this, and the agent knows that you're going to follow through, you're going to do what you said that you're going to do, you're a professional, you're going to write good offers, and you're going to see issues before they actually find ways to overcome those issues and move transactions forward. That means so much from a listing agent's point of view. I can tell you from experience that I guarantee that played into his decision, that he'd worked with you before and you did a great job. So kudos to you. Good job.
Thank you, Andy.
Walk us through the virtual home buying program. I have it up on the screen here if you can see it.
It's really small.
It is really small. Seriously, I have, if I didn't have one tech issue a week, then my name wouldn't be Andy Green.
You wouldn't be alive.
Totally.
So basically the gist of it is just kind of like it played out with this young couple is virtually, and we could have met over the phone, but it's just not the same. I mean, bottom line is this is a first-time buyer that buying a house is a big deal, and I respect that. I love first-time buyers because as an agent in the 5-6 homes that my wife and I have bought, we never got from the agents we worked with. We were never involved. We never got to be a part of the process. And I think that's important. I try to make that possible for all the clients I'm working with. First of all, meeting with them to do an initial consult, letting them know who and what we are and how we can help, how we can add value to the purchase or sell of the home, but also making sure that the communication line is open, that there's clear communication every step of the way. The buyer or the seller is involved and they know what's next. So in this case, as opposed to talking on the phone, we had the Zoom meeting, virtual meeting, and that usually takes anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to I mean, sometimes it's an hour and a half. I think it was probably just over an hour with this couple.
Sometimes if your name is Darren Piper, it's 3 hours.
I'm very thorough. Thank you, Andy. Basically, as it mentions, upon a consult, sometimes buyers or sellers just aren't in a position. And as you know, we come from a place of contribution. And if it's not the right time for somebody, or they can't achieve their goal, we're going to let them know that. We're not here to get their business. We're here to build those relationships. So in this case, I gave them the information to make the right decision. They decided they were going to go for it. This is a great market. Interest rates are low. We're going to start looking. So we immediately did. And this was one of the very first houses that hit the radar. And we made an offer on this literally before we ever stood in front of each other. And we did view another house while we had the offer, because this one took 3 or 4 days to wrap up with the multiple offers, but it was for sure the right house once we got in there. And like I said, the step 3 of the process there is virtual tour. That's how we were only able to see this house. That 3 tour, looking up and down, all around, backyard, satellite, and that's all done through screen share, just like you and Annie are doing now. Sign online, which is traditionally how we do documents in the real estate business anyway. So that's not too different. And that step of the process, we did all the offer documents online through e-signature. They were already pre-approved when I met them, but that is absolutely something that can be done virtually, correct, Annie? I'm sure you've done a few of those without being face-to-face with clients.
Especially right now, for sure. Yes.
Indeed. And inspection, that's kind of where we are now. There's rooms in this home, and we're waiting. We will be informed in the next couple weeks as to when the timeline start, the inspections and contingencies. So as I know, we have a corral of inspectors that we work with, of course, and as realtors and lenders, inspectors, appraisers, escrow, everybody's performing business not as usual, right? So I've set that expectation as Saturday there in the cul-de-sac where you saw their picture with their cute little scarves. Set that expectation is this is how it's going to happen. We're not going to, typically you are allowed to be at the inspection. Inspectors at this point prefer to go into the house on their own. The day of, you will get a 20, 30 page report and kind of set that expectation and clear communication as what happens in this COVID environment.
Yeah.
And now I can't see my form, but basically that's where we are in this process.
Okay. The rest was closing. And, I think that we covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. I thought it was a great story. Hearing how excited they were, that's honestly the best part for me. I just love it. And that picture is ridiculously cute with them in their scarves in front of their new house. I just love it. So good job, Darren. I've got to let you go right now because Annie has got to run in about 3 minutes, and I want to catch up with her about what's going on in the mortgage market before we let her go. So thank you, Darren. Good job. Keep up the good work. I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Okay, Annie, talk to me. What's going on in the mortgage market? Darren mentioned a couple times that rates are good, and we know that, but have there been any significant changes in the mortgage market? Where are rates at, and what are you seeing right now?
We there has not been any significant changes because the federal government, we know from the couple of weeks we've talked, that they're buying up mortgage-backed securities and they're really controlling where interest rates are going to be at. So I don't anticipate that we're going to see a huge fluctuation of interest rates. Of course, people always want the lowest rate they can possibly get. But what we're really advising them is, for example, I have some clients that I work with that said, we think that it might go down a little bit. And I said, well, that's not what I'm seeing. But of course, you guys are in the driver's seat where you're the client. But here's my professional advice. Interest rates 13 weeks ago were at 4.75%. And we're at the mid 3%, 3.5-ish%. So when you look at things from that perspective, there's always an opportunity that rates could go maybe a little bit lower. We're looking at a fluctuation of 1/8%. We're not talking about 0.5%. So there's always that possibility. But once this order gets lifted, we're going to see true economic numbers. People are going to go back to work. The Fed is going to evaluate how long do we need to be pumping money into these markets in order to keep interest rates where they're at. So we will in the coming weeks start to see some fluctuation. What that looks like, we are not sure just yet.
Right.
But relatively, interest rates are pretty stable right now, and they're below 4%.
Yeah, awesome. 3.5%, ridiculous. Awesome.
So great.
Very, very good.
I know.
One thing that I saw this morning was a notice or an update about HELOCs. Did you hear that? I think it had to do with Chase Bank, and they're no longer offering HELOCs, which is a home equity line of credit.
Yep, Chase is one of the first to go. There's still plenty out there that offer them.
Okay.
But we are starting to see them tighten up with the anticipation, because Chase is they're a national company. Mm-hmm. So, Portland's really lucky in our real estate market, and, we're still in a very healthy position. That's not going to be the case in a lot of other markets. So right. They're having to make a decision to protect themselves from a national standpoint.
Yep.
And we can chat about that more next week too. We'll have a little bit more information.
Cool. Yeah, because I remember the last time around, about 2008, 2009, home equity lines of credit were just being used nonstop. So right. Probably that's kind of what they're thinking at this point, is they don't want to go through what they went through last time, and so they're just pulling back and saying we're not gonna even offer these at this point in time.
Right.
Would you assume that more than likely they're going to come back in the future at some point?
Oh yeah, absolutely, they will. This is all temporary.
This is temporary, and we will get through this together, right?
I know, absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Do you have any final parting words that you want to say?
I guess it's just that this is temporary. I think that it's really important for us to all understand that. I think people are getting really antsy to get out of their homes, and
big time. I see it.
Yeah, right. So, which is understandable. I think mental health is something that's really important, and it's healthy for people to be out and about and socializing. But that we need to take all of that with a grain of salt and remember why we got here in the first place. So,
well, the weather helped us with that itch and that anticipation of getting through this, because it has been so nice. I've been going out for my mental health. I had to start running again. I'd been lifting weights in the gym and going to the gym and doing workouts for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And obviously I haven't been able to do that. And I've been eating way too much and not exercising nearly enough and working too much. And I'm like, okay, something's got to change here. So I changed. I started running a couple weeks ago. I'm feeling better every time I get out. And I'm also remembering why I loved running so much. So
yeah.
It's been cool, and it's been beautiful to get outside and go for those runs.
I love it.
Yep. Awesome. Okay.
Well, I love our call. I know I've got to run, but I'm excited to chat about our agenda next week, and hopefully we'll see everybody there.
Okay. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. If you're watching this live, thank you. We will come back at you again next week at 12:30 on Monday, as always, with news that you can use. So please tune in. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for checking us out. Have a great day, y'all.
Here. Bye.
Bye-bye.